Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Engagement Academy, the show that proves that life is a video game. Because who else can teach you how to drive engagement other than who it's all for, which is the disengaged employee, which was me. Oh my gosh, it's been a busy few weeks. I've been having so much fun talking to all of you on LinkedIn and in the community that launched. And we've got some really great lessons that I've been putting together over time. You're going to learn the whole framework for how to think for yourself on how to drive engagement. And it's based on all my research and conversations with people just like you. So if you want a place to come meet with others who are trying to solve for the same stuff, I promise you all say the exact same things to me. And you're like, I'm sure you've never heard this before, or I don't know if you can help me with this. And I'm like, let me guess. Your CEO is a jerk. Your people managers are traumatizing everyone, and everyone's kind of got this general sense of yuck, and you don't know why, and you are questioning if HR is the right path for you. And everyone's like, yeah, how'd you know? I'm like, come on in here. There's nothing wrong with you. There's something about helping all of you that's helping heal my career. And it's been really fun for me to put this community together and hold office hours and begin to meet all of you. And I just encourage you when you're ready to get in that community, because that's where a lot of your supercharged growth is going to happen. When you can talk to me and others like Christy Williams, one of my favorite VPs of HR in the space. She's so smart. When you can meet other people in positions and roles just like yours and talk it out, you're going to start to think differently. Pair with that the course that we have available for you, the Engagement Accelerator. Oh my gosh, you're going to be off to the races. I was building a lesson called How to Advocate for Budget, because you can't drive engagement with no budget. That's not how that works. We can't just hope and wish and pray, or you be given $200 a year, which I hear a lot. They're like, I do have a budget. It's this. I'm like, oh my God, that's not enough. We have like scripts to position why you need budget and how to figure out what to spend it on, and tell your executives why this boosts productivity and how it equips the revenue drivers, the employees who are in your care in HR and managers, how it equips them to do their best work so the company is a lot more successful in the long term. And there's a little piece of the lesson I wanted to pull out on how to advocate for budget. And it's the answer to why you feel like sometimes you work on so much, your days are so busy, but you feel like nothing gets done, or at least nothing of meaning, and why you can't move the engagement needle. We're going to talk about the concept of run the business versus change the business. Okay? Run the business is making sure that there's smooth day-to-day operations. And I know all of you, your day is like gangbusters, full of interruptions and stuff that has to get taken care of and has to get done. Otherwise, the company won't run. So it's your things like payroll. People have to get paid. Benefits administration or questions around benefits, making sure you're in compliance, or handling something that wasn't in compliance. You can't just be like, I'll handle that next month. You have to do things to keep the business running smoothly. And the other side of that is change the business. It's when you have time for innovation and thinking and strategy and planning for the future. So that's when you're trying to get clear on what's your goal for your next survey. When are you going to send it? What format are you going to use? We teach all of this in the academy, by the way. When's your next training for your managers? Managers drive 70% of disengagement, and they need help understanding how to be good managers. When was the last time you updated your onboarding based on feedback from people who are now ramped? And you could ask like, hey, what was missing from onboarding that would have been nice to know? If you don't have time for change the business, you're never going to drive engagement, and you're going to be stuck in run the business, which is just chaos, anarchy, hell of the fact that your employee experience isn't great, and it keeps compounding as time goes on. And as employees join your company, others leave, you're kind of like stuck in the undertow of what you think is productivity, and everyone needs you. And I know you all love to be helpful. There is nothing wrong with you for that. But you need to have time to balance that run the business chaos with change the business time. And that's why you need to make sure you have budget and a properly staffed team to cover everything that's needed to give the employees a good experience. Remember, experience drives engagement, not the other way around. And those words aren't the same. You'll see HR blogs out there that are like 7 strategies for a better employee experience and 8 ways to drive engagement. It makes me crazy. You will be part of the 1% of HR leaders if you understand your employee experience, the little mini moments that unfold on teams, from like every little meeting to how is the work getting done? Is it clear? Do people know what's expected of them? Are their managers emotionally available for them? Is the team functioning properly? Are there too many meetings? Does everyone have the right tools? Was that person kind of a jerk just then? That's the employee experience. And engagement is always in flux. And it's a capture of like how emotionally committed are people to your organization based on how the employee experience is unfolding. So when you're stuck in run the business mode, you're just putting out fires. And that can feel fun for a time, but don't you get burned out? I know you do. And I know it stinks. I know a lot of you tell me this. You know your employees aren't doing great, but you don't know exactly what's wrong or what to fix. Or you'll throw out a peer recognition program and it kind of flops and you don't know why, or a book club, or let's do some team building. And it's because you're kind of guessing and you have good intentions. Again, there is nothing wrong with you, but we need to get you to be more strategic. You need to have at least 40% of your time in change the business mode. 60% can be in firefighter mode. Sure. That's fun. There's a rush there. Everybody needs you. That's awesome. But if you can't go into pause mode on Slack or on Teams and put up a status that says you are in strategy and planning mode, if you can't go on do not disturb for at least 4 hours, if not half the day or the full day, to think critically without interruptions, to like figure out what's next or what's your go forward plan to make improvements, you're never going to move the engagement needle. And over time, it's going to stress you out because your executive is going to start looking at what you bring to the business if they know too that employees are disengaged, or maybe there was a survey that came back and it was not so glowing reviews and the CEO's like, what's your plan to fix it? And if you're stuck in run the business mode, you're not going to have the time to think critically and apply what we teach you in the community. And I know it's tough. I know HR is the last to get budget and headcount, and you're not seen as a profit center. Like you're not seen as a part of the business that brings in revenue, which is silly to me. And I'm on a mission to make sure that it is being shouted from the rooftops on LinkedIn. And to all the executive conferences I attend, when I'm speaking to founders and CEOs who are like, Christy, how do I improve the bottom line? And I go, hey, buddy, your obsession with revenue is completely upside down and backwards. Your people drive the revenue. We got to focus on the people and then you'll get more revenue. I have to find really nice ways to have that conversation because I've lived it. And sometimes I'm talking to an executive and they're like, our people are quiet quitting and they're just like apathetic and like, we just fire people. And I'm like, oh my gosh, take a deep breath, Christy. Do not attack this person. We will get arrested. I'm just kidding. I don't want to attack anybody, but I do take very seriously that chance to explain to them, hey, like, what's your relationship like with your HR person? When was your last survey? What were the results? How many employees do you have? They actually don't always know the answers to those questions. And I'm like, I love that you know your revenue numbers. I love that you know how many customers you have, but you should really also pair that with an obsession for the people and curiosity around, have you set them up for success? Do you believe them when they take their surveys? And do you believe your HR leader when they say, oops, no, that's a bad idea because that's going to send us straight to a layoff? I know a lot of you have told me like we had layoffs that were totally avoidable, but the executives didn't listen to me. So getting a major piece of this is getting you balanced time in run the business and change the business mode. And in the community, we have scripts to advocate for more headcount and put it in a way that will make sense to your executives in terms that they care about, which is money and productivity and growth. But you all want the same thing. You care so much about the people, and the people are the revenue drivers, and the people really just don't want to be traumatized at work. They just want to enjoy where they work. Managers want very productive teams. Like everybody wins when you have time to get into change the business mode, which is even time spent in my community. You should be able to be allowed to look outside of your organization for answers and study and have access to other places to learn, because let me just be very honest with you. Nobody has explained employee engagement in the way that we are doing it in this community because it hasn't existed before. And it gets as simple as, this is just a little nugget of one of the lessons. If you are stuck in daily interruptions of run the business with payroll, benefits, compliance, compensation, policies, like your employer branding, like on Glassdoor, someone sent a nasty review, you're looking up tax codes, you're trying to do management coaching one-to-one every time there's an issue, you're hiring someone, firing someone, onboarding, you're dealing with internal comms and trying to get everyone to pay attention, and you're planning the company holiday party or picnic. That's way too much for one person to ever think critically about what's wrong. On top of it, with all the interruptions you get, like someone can't find their 401k login. Someone thinks you're on the IT team and has an IT question. Someone had a baby. Someone's getting divorced. Someone had a parent or a friend or a sibling or a neighbor die and they have a question about bereavement. Someone's locked out of their email. Oh my goodness. Holy chaos storm of context switching. You all are problem solvers who love people. You spend a lot of time in problem solving and it makes you crazy to not like move the engagement needle and do the people part in the way that you know is going to unlock the rest of your career. So I want you to just reflect after this episode, how much time do you have in run the business versus change the business mode? Why don't you do a little test? Like try to go on do not disturb for 2 hours and see if the whole company burns down. I guarantee you it doesn't. Even if someone needs to get fired, it can wait for 2 hours because you're working on something. You don't need to be urgently completely available all the time 24/7 because that is kind of like abuse. That's impossible. But I know a lot of you do it because there's been no example to follow on like, how else do I work in HR and serve the people? This is the definition of putting on your own air mask. You need time to think critically and make decisions and do research and sit still for a second or unhinge your thoughts so that you can explore new and better ways of solving for what your employees are saying isn't working. Ask yourself if you spend any time and change the business. And then if you don't, ask yourself, is it self-inflicted? Have you tried? Or if you have an executive who wouldn't let you do that, there's a really fierce conversation that needs to happen there. That's a literal book, Fierce Conversations. You are not to be left in a piranha tank by all the employees to eat you alive. That's not a good way to do business because if HR is not okay, nobody's okay. Figure out your ability to get into change the business mode. How much time could you really spend there? Is it realistic? Do you need more? Who's blocking you? Is it you? Is it an executive? What's your plan to do something about it? If you need help, that's why I built Engagement Academy. Come on into the community and we can make sure this is baked into your day and your experience because you're an employee too. If your employee experience isn't great and you're getting eaten alive, then that's not fun and that's not rewarding. Just know that there's nothing wrong with you and we need to get you some time to think critically so that you can do all the incredible problem-solving things that you do. Your brain is great for this, paired with your love for people. You are the executive and the ally to the leadership team that they've been looking for and they don't even realize it. Take care of yourself. Make sure you have hobbies, okay? Take time to just like go for a walk and sit in the sunshine. Make sure you have time to do whatever you enjoy. Like, have you read a book recently? If you love to read, have you done any kind of activity that sparks joy? I know it's tough if you have kids. I know it's tough if you don't have kids, but your work does not define you. Don't wrap your whole identity in your career because it is the golden age of HR, but it is like the most misunderstood time of HR and you need to live your life a little. So this is just a little nudge to make sure that you're going on a little nature walk or you take a different way home and you realize there's a jujitsu studio like I did. And you're like, why haven't I tried jujitsu? Turns out I loved it. You might too. Have some joy in your life before it like speeds past us. Okay. I love you guys. I'll talk to you next week.